This show exists because you support it, and we appreciate it. If you want to lend support to We Have Concerns, visit patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. You'll get extra perks, early episodes, and more. Patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. For 2 weeks now, I have had a twitch in my eye. 2 weeks long. A muscle spasm happening in my eyelid.
Yeah.
It's driving me fucking insane.
You need calcium and magnesium.
Is that so?
That's what I hear. But guess what, Jeff? I'm not qualified to say that. I'm just saying it anyway.
That's why you're the doctor.
This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Anthony.
Hello. Oh, whoa. We haven't done this in like forever.
It's a little bit rusty, isn't it?
This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Cannata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
Am I talking about this, or are you talking about this? Who's talking about this? We have a mind-blowing story here sent in by Merovac on the Twitters.
Don't send things in on Twitter.
Yeah. Basically, the biggest reason we're bringing this up is please email it to us.
We have concernshow@gmail.com, and we'll have a subreddit up like next week. But we nearly missed this because it was sent on Twitter, and I just get Twitter is so ephemeral, and I miss things on it all the time. But I'm lucky in that Jeff caught it and responded to it, and so I saw it. But that's not what it's about. This is not what it's about.
It's about you.
It's about you specifically, your sense of self.
This is one of the coolest articles I've read in a long time. This is on a site called Wait But Why. It's a blog or a Tumblr or one of those things the kids make on the internet.
It's a
nowadays.
QCat or a Friendster or a Bebo or something.
Written by Tim Urban, and this is taking a look at the concept of what makes you you. And
we've talked about this before. There was a previous episode, and I can't remember which, where I asked you, where are you?
Right, in your body. Yes, and this is really kind of breaking it down. It's a very long article filled with some co-opted scientific thought experiments from other people. He gives credit where credit is due. And it's fascinating. It's all about, do you exist in your brain? Do you exist in your body? Is it the data, the sum total of your life experience and memories that makes you you? What is it that makes you you?
Where is Jeff Cannata inside of you right now? Is there a core of Jeff Cannata? Do you feel that way?
And the way he tries to...
No, I'm asking you. Do you feel that way?
Oh, I definitely think there's a me.
Yeah.
But
do you feel it in your body somewhere? Like, can you pinpoint it? A lot of people think that there's like a little guy at the controls. Like if you had to vocalize it. I mean, because that's kind of how I feel, right? Like there's all this stuff going on, but then there's like a little me at the core that's controlling everything.
You do get the feeling that if I was somehow thrown into your body in some sort of Freaky Friday, wacky comedy premise, if I had to inhabit your body...
What's so wacky about that, Jeff?
Oh, it would lead to hilarity.
Why? What's so funny about me as a person,
Everybody would wonder why Anthony Carboni has such a cheery outlook all of a sudden. What's gotten into you, Anthony, they'd say.
Finally, our faces would match our voices according to our audience.
Right. I do feel like I would peer out of you and down onto you and would feel like there's this me that's inside of you.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that me-ness is.
Well, this is interesting. I've been reading a book lately called The Self-Illusion, which is all about this. And it's more about how our social setting contributes to our sense of self and how we sort of change in different social settings. But there are a couple big theories about this, right? Like one is the ego theory. One is there's a little Jeff. Or if we switched brains, there would still be a Jeff, right? Because the other one is called the bundle theory, which was created by David Hume 300 years ago. And it's basically like, there's a brain, and the brain is super important. But there are all these bundles of impulses coming from all over that actually make you you. It's very strange the way we think about ourselves. Because if you think about a bicycle, and you remove the wheel from the bicycle, or the handlebars from the bicycle, or the pedals from the bicycle,
right?
It's still a bicycle.
Right.
We still look at it and we go, bicycle. But for whatever reason, there's this big theory right now that if you were to remove our brain, we wouldn't be us. But there are so many different sensory impulses and feelings and chemical things happening all over our body. If
Yeah.
you put your brain in my body, would you immediately begin to feel differently, act differently, just because my body is making hormones at a different rate, is making chemicals
Right.
at a different, I have a different pulse, I
Right.
feel pressure in a different way.
Right.
Would you still be you?
Well, that's the question, is do I exist in my brain? Is my brain chemistry where I exist? Or if, as this article posits, if there was some future tech that allowed me to download all of my experience, my memories, everything in and offload it into some other body
Mhm.
or some, not even a body, a computer,
Yeah.
would that be me? Would that still be me? Or would the biochemical feedback that I'm getting from the other parts of my body, do those contribute to who I fundamentally am?
It's funny that we put so much into our feelings and our thoughts as who we are. Because
Right.
most of my thoughts, if you think about, if you consider most of your thoughts throughout the day, they're very reactionary. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very rarely just sitting and contemplating and thinking about who I am and coming to like real legitimate decisions about who I am.
Yeah.
I'm usually like in traffic and I'm being cut off, or I'm running errands, or
Yeah.
there are all these external forces that are kind of like forcing me to be me,
Right.
or creating this narrative of me. And it's like, you wonder how much of you,
Yeah. Well,
how much of you is actually you, and how much of you is chemistry, how much of you is reaction, how much of you is
Yeah.
just external things.
I'm one of those guys that gets hangry.
Yeah.
If I haven't eaten and all of a sudden I'm super hungry and I can't get food, I will have a emotional reaction. My personality changes fundamentally. And oftentimes my wife will say, just have some food.
Yeah.
You know? And I will change completely. If I get some food in me, all of a sudden it goes
is that
away.
Jeff, though? Is
Is
Hangry
that
Jeff?
That's the question.
And that's one of the things this book is talking about, too, that I've been reading lately, is we talk about our work selves, our home selves.
Right.
How am I when I'm with my family? How am I when I'm out? Like, is there a central you? Is there one you
Right.
at all?
Yeah.
Or is the idea of self just something that we tell ourselves?
Yeah. And the concept, taking it into the science fiction
Mm-hmm.
place, because I've always assumed that there would be a day. It just seems so plausible to me that there will be a day, you know, we talking about the singularity or whatever it is. There will be a day where I will be able to sort of just download myself into a computer. But I never really thought, well, maybe that's not myself.
It can't be. That's the thing, is whenever you watch like all these sci-fi programs or whatever, or read science fiction novels or whatever it is, speculative fiction. The first time I thought about this, I guess, was when I was reading a lot of like cyberpunk stuff.
Yeah.
But the idea of, well, we're going to get old and we'll be able to download our brain into a new body. And it's like, well, that's not how downloading works.
Right.
Because I had also just, I had just gotten like one of my first computers and I had gotten online. I was using a modem for the first time. I was like, wait, when you move a file, you copy it and then destroy the original.
Right.
It's not physically moving something from one place to another. That's not how it works.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So if you download yourself into a computer, no, that's a separate copy of you.
Right.
But
And
not
that-
only is it a separate copy of you, it's a separate copy of you. I've thought about this too. Pull the computer out of the equation and say they'll be able to clone bodies of you, okay?
Mhm.
And put your consciousness, put the sum of your memories, maybe it's your physical brain itself,
Mhm.
into this body.
Right.
Well, this body was grown in a jar.
Mhm.
This body hasn't had all the physical trauma
Right.
that your body has had. It hasn't gone through all the physical experiences your body has had. Epigenetics means that there are certain things in your DNA that don't express themselves or do express themselves depending on your lifestyle.
Yeah.
If you've led an unhealthy lifestyle and they put you into a clone that's had nothing but a healthy lifestyle, you're going to be a different person.
Yeah.
Because once again, it's like putting your brain into my body.
Right.
It's like putting your marathon running brain into my Thai food eating body. It's going to feel wrong and different, and you're going to be like, you're going
Yeah.
to react to things differently, and you won't even know it.
Yeah.
There's
But what this article even goes a step further and says, even if you could make a 1-to-1 perfect molecular copy of yourself,
Mhm.
and put your consciousness into that body, are you still you then? Because in the sense of making a copy and putting it someplace else, you do have to destroy one to put it in the other. So the thought experiment that's posited here says, well, what if the destruction doesn't happen and you're still there and a perfect exact copy of you also exists? You're not in that one.
That's called the prestige.
Right.
When you do
it
that.
is.
You're prestiging.
Yeah. Exactly, because spoiler for that movie. But yes, it is.
I feel like we're beyond the statute of limitations on the prestige.
I mean, so where do you come down on this? Because I think the article comes down on this idea that I had never really heard expressed before, which is you are the continuity of self. You are, even though he says his 90-year-old grandfather can look at a picture of himself at 6 and say, that's me. Mm-hmm. Whereas none of the molecules in his body are the same as that 6-year-old.
All the cells are different.
Yeah. There's nothing that bears any resemblance. His personality is completely different, but he's the continuity of that, which I think is a really elegant way to sort of explain away the problem.
Yeah.
But I still don't know where what me comes from.
Well, and the thing is, they haven't found it.
Yeah.
They haven't found it. There's no central repository in your brain of Jeffness.
Right.
It
would be awesome if you could visit, though.
The central repository of Jeffness.
Yeah.
I picture it just like that future museum they have for Superman and Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah.
It's just the Hall of Jeffness.
It's just like cases and cases of like a tooth that I lost at 4, like that baseball bat that I used to hit the home run in Little League. It's the first A I got on a test.
Yeah.
It's that book that the first time I saw a naked lady in a magazine.
Yeah.
It's like just hanging there in a case.
This is Jeff's first pornography.
And this is the rest of Jeff's pornography. Wow, that hall is really long.
Yeah, it's an annex. It's a wing. We had to build it on. It's the most expensive wing all of the Hall of Jeff.
There's a tram that I can get on?
There is.
Wow.
There are 3 tram lines. There's a blue,
goodness.
a red, and a yellow line.
Oh wow! I do not want to go down the yellow tram.
The yellow tram gets into a real dark place.
I don't. That was just a couple of years that he was curious.
That is when he got his first broadband connection in college. It was a dark time.
Stuff. You don't want to.
No, but there is a lot of people tend to think, and this is why I love the idea of we're really at a point in human history where we're putting the brain on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where the brain is who we are, and it's funny because it's true to a certain extent. To go back to the bicycle thing, you could remove the handlebars, you could remove the pedals, and you'd still sort of have a bicycle.
Right.
You pull the wheel out and you got a real problem.
Right.
And I sort of think of the human, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's so funny. We think of the brain as this central thing. But the brain is just full of just as many problems as the rest of our body.
Yeah.
And our brain is no more us than our finger is us. But we tend to think about our brain as where we are, and we tend to think about our finger as an extremity.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where I am. You point to your brain, you go, this is me. And then you point to your finger and you go, oh, that's my finger. That's my hair. These are my toenails.
Right.
They're inconsequential.
And I can cut the toenails off and leave them,
They're
discard
separate.
them. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm getting my hair cut, not I'm getting me cut.
Right.
Right?
I'm getting me cut.
I'm getting cut today.
Yeah, part of me is being severed off.
I'm cutting the hair.
Yeah.
No, it's my hair. It's a possession. It's not part of me.
Right.
But the brain, from what we've seen, doesn't have, a lot of people think that there's a memory center. And there's a place where, a lot of, the structure of memory is done, and like the retention of memory, the forming of memory is done. But if you're looking for a place where your memories are, that's whole brain stuff.
Yeah.
There's no place in your brain where you point to it and you go, that's my memory of my mom.
Yeah.
No, that's all over the place.
Right.
Because if all your memories were in one place and I hit you with a stick.
Which you always do.
Which I always do.
Yeah.
But it's to prove a point.
Well, I appreciate it.
It's to prove a point. I have hit you in the same place with a stick over and over and over again.
And I used to remember what the point was.
But you remember a lot of other stuff still.
Yeah.
Because there's no one place. If all of your memory was in one place and I hit you in that and you had an injury, you'd be worthless.
Yeah.
And
it kind of leads me down the road of that whole Buddhist thinking of really the root of all humanity's problems is the sense of self.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we could just get rid of a sense of self and embrace the fact that I'm no different from you, and my ecosystem and your ecosystem are the exact same thing, and I'm looking at you and it's kind of like looking at my finger.
Yeah.
You know, it's I guess it's new agey spiritually kind of stuff, but the closest thing that I have to any kind of spirituality is kind of a fundamental belief that there's a truth to that.
Yeah.
That sense of self is just kind of fucking with you.
So we're constantly filtering things, right, to survive. Like, our vision is not the perfect thing that we think it is. There are blind spots all over our vision, and our brain fills those in to the best of its ability. You know, it syncs up sight and sound to the best of its ability. You know? We find patterns in things even when they're untrue.
Right.
Because patterns help us survive.
Right.
And so the sense of self is really just kind of like there's all of this sensory information coming in at all times. And so your brain needs to very quickly be like, how do I respond to that? Mm-hmm. Your body needs to know, what do we do in this case?
Yeah.
And that becomes your sense of self. But it's really just another survival instinct. Yeah. And that's why I think we're never going to find a place in our body where there is a self. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not in our solar plexus. It's not behind our eyes. There's not a little guy. Yeah. You know? Yeah. It's a distributed thing that we create to keep ourselves alive. And that's why we can't find it. We put a lot of importance on it, but it's really just another function of our body. Yeah. Or it's a sort of an artificial limit on the whole universe being us, and we just are sort of experiencing ourselves because there's too much. We got to filter it, right? Yeah. We can't take it all in, so we have to decide, what do I take in, and that becomes us. Yeah. I don't know. I do lean that way. It's a little crunchy. It's a little new agey. It feels a little. But it isn't. You know, it goes love back, your brother, but it goes back to that bundle theory, though. Right. You know, it goes back to that theory of like, look, there's a lot of things happening in you at any given moment. So you can't say that you are any one part of your body or any one sensation in your body, because all of those things work together. Yeah. You know, and the whole world works together to create your sense of self. You know, that's why so much of this social stuff, that's why this book I'm reading focuses on the social stuff, is because you do a lot of things for survival that make you mimic and mirror other people. Yeah. And then that becomes you, because you need to be a you that is palatable to other people that helps you survive. Yeah, yeah. And it's just another set of reflexes. It's just another set of responding to stimuli. Right. That turns you into you. Yeah. Super funny episode. I know. I was trying to think of a way to bend this into a comedy bit. But whatever, man. Sometimes we get deep. Handle it. Sometimes. I would love to know if people, because you know what? Knowing all this stuff and reading all this stuff, I still do feel like there's a little man at the controls and he's right behind my eyes. I still do. You know, there's no shaking that. Even if you know, I can't shake that. Well, who's behind that little man's eyes? Oh, he's got another brain. Uh-huh. And then in that brain is another little man. Oh, it's like looking in 100 mirrors. Yeah, just tinier little men. It's little men all the way down until there's one little woman at the end. Like, hey, I'm not getting the credit for this. Yeah, sorry, that happens a lot. But I would love to know if people feel that way. I would love to know where people feel like they are. Do they subscribe to that ego theory? Do they subscribe to the bundle theory? Where do you feel the you is in your body? Are you brain? in your body, in your brain, in your data, someplace else entirely? Yeah, let us know. Fascinating. We're on Twitter. I'm at A Carboni. And I'm at Jeff Cannata.